Next up, Florida, Tennessee. Very good SEC matchup here. This, I believe, is the CBS game on Saturday afternoon with Gary D. and Brad Nessler. Tennessee, 11-point home favorites, 62.5 the total in this game down in Knoxville. Do we get concerned about Florida? And, this is hurting Utah big time. Utah may not even be in the playoff mix anymore because they lost that game. They probably aren't. But, the loss to Utah looks a little bit worse now because you've seen Florida lose to Kentucky. The offense didn't look particularly well. That offense and Anthony Richardson that looked so dynamic against Utah struggled against Kentucky, kind of up and down against South Florida in a escape for their lives type of victory last week against South Florida. So all of a sudden, some concerns starting to pop up here a little bit for the Gators. And defensively, kind of the same thing. I mean, they struggled against the South Florida Bulls last week. They got 28 points, South Florida, on the board, 300 rushing yards. The South Florida ground game could not be stopped. 416 total yards of offense for South Florida. I mean, that was a rough offensive game for Florida, or defensive game rather for Florida. And it wasn't even a great offensive game from them either. Bohannon had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 10 of 18, 112 yards. He was contained on the ground, just 24 rushing yards on 7 attempts. A very unsettling last 2 performances for Billy Napier's team. We'll see if they can rectify it here against Tennessee, who have destroyed Akron and Ball State out of the MAC. A combined score of 122-16 for Tennessee over Akron and Ball State. And the game against Pitt did have a quarterback injury in that game. That was a game where Keaton Slovis got hurt, and Nick Patty took over. But Tennessee, the offense worked against a very good, a solid enough Pitt team, 34 points, 34-27 in overtime, the one solid opponent they've played. This one's tricky now because you look at preseason in terms of where this point spread was. I'm just going to bring it up here in just a second. Florida, not a huge difference. Florida was about an 8-point underdog in this game. Tennessee, an 8-point favorite. So it's a little 3 points higher than it was before the season, but still an adjustment. Tennessee's looked good, undefeated. Florida's had some vulnerabilities. The loss to Kentucky, barely escaping as a huge favorite against South Florida. And so you are laying a bit more with Tennessee now as a result. But I don't know if I want to take Florida on the road because it's kind of that thing where if their defense struggles, and look, offense, for the most part under Josh Heupel, you think this is a pass-heavy offense, but no, they want to be balanced. They can throw it, they can run it, they can do both. And we've seen Florida, all of us, and Florida's passing defense, by the way, the secondary, it's giving up 141 passing yards per game, 121st in the country with their secondary, and actually 26th they are. They're not bad. I was looking at offense. 26, that's not bad. But Tennessee's balanced, and Florida struggled against the run, and Tennessee can do both with Hooker running this offense. They can run it, they can throw it. But I think Florida's offense can challenge Tennessee defensively a little bit. Let's keep in mind, Pitt put up 27 in the one game that Tennessee's played a good offense this year. Now, Tennessee's defense, I think, has improved. It was bad last year. I think it's improved this year, but they've only played one decent offense, and that team still got to 27 points in a game where they lost their quarterback in that game. Pitt as well still scored 27 points. So I'm looking at the over, not so much a side, but I'm looking more towards the over in this game. And we know Tennessee plays one of the fastest paces in college football. What do you think, C-Mac, Florida, Tennessee?
All I have to say is if Tennessee can run it like South Florida did against Florida, the over will hit. I think they'll be better this week. Florida's been atrocious on the road. Their last 8, they haven't covered a number. In SEC, they haven't covered a number. They played to the under, but that was in years past. Richardson was not good. I mean, he was like 10 for 18. They didn't throw it much. They ran, but it was just subpar game. He threw a couple picks, I believe. This is rough. They need a wake-up call. They're on snooze control for sure. But this number is big. We're up double digits with Tennessee. This might be a little bit too much. I don't want Florida, and I don't know if I want to lay doubles with Tennessee. But one thing with Tennessee, if it doesn't get there, this total, I think it'll be close because they just play so fast, and I think Florida will be able to move it on them. I think the defense, like you talked about, is a little bit better. Pitt got 27. Should have got probably more in that game, even with the backup in and covered, but it's another story for another day. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if I want to get involved with Florida on the side and even on the total here. This might be too many, but I lean over early here.